Hello, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you're watching us. This is Father Lou Scurti with Friends of the Word, and today we go back into my history at William Patterson University, and I reintroduce a very dear friend, Karen Demsey.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
This is wonderful. Karen and I have worked together at William Patterson and other places for years. I preached in your church at one point.
Yes, more than once, as a matter of fact.
And it's a wonderful...
They want you back, by the way.
Oh, good. Okay. Just have somebody call me. The name of the church?
Preakness Reformed Church.
So, as a matter of fact, when you're watching this, I don't know if it'll still be the Week of Christian Unity, but in the Catholic Church, we celebrate the Week of Christian Unity in January, and that is this week. Now, whether it is or not, I think as all Christians are meant to respect and be open to each other. Now, this is not a necessarily religious topic we're dealing with today, but I do want to let us know, our audience know, that we deal with Christians of every denomination, and it's wonderful. We've been to the Orthodox Church, and now Karen comes from the Reformed Church, and I've preached there. So it's a wonderful mind experience, a mind-broadening experience, and a soul-broadening experience. But how are we affiliated? And it's sitting right there.
Well, this is my musical voice, the flute. And I was trying to remember exactly when we met, but I think it has to be close to 20 years ago now.
Right.
I teach music, flute and music history courses at William Patterson University. And one day you contacted me and said, do you have any music students who might be interested in offering their musical gifts?
That's right.
For a wonderful Mass coming up? And I said, let me think about that. And that began a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
Actually,
that's not only for me, but for our music students.
Thank you. And it was wonderful. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
But actually, we go back even before that, because I brought you into consultation when the chapel was being built.
Oh, my. Oh, yes.
We were receiving, as a grant, a baby grand piano from the Markoulis family. And I wanted to make sure that piano was placed at the right spot.
Yes.
Now, I had a great spot in mind, right under the stained glass window, but your suggestion was no, because the heat from the window at 3 o'clock in the afternoon would damage it.
Exactly.
So we moved it over to the music ministry, and we created that area, that music ministry area.
Yes, exactly.
Because of that.
Exactly.
And it was your suggestion.
Well, and as a matter of fact, you not only asked me to come over when it was just poured cement and wood studs.
Right.
You also asked Dave Kersner, Professor
Yes.
Kersner, who runs the Sound Engineering Arts program, knows all about acoustics and how sound moves around.
Yes. I
and
remember
he
that.
looked at the space very carefully and also made some much more knowledgeable decisions than I would make.
Well, as to the placing of speakers and mics and all that.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And and time again, our students as well as our faculty have said, what a beautiful space that is. Not only for the spoken word, but also for music.
Right.
Absolutely beautiful.
And the Jesus Christ Prince of Peace Chapel is located next to Gate 1 of William Patterson, and I served there 31 years. The chapel lasts 20 years, as you said.
Yes. And may I say the chapel is also visually stunning as well. Would you tell the story about the stained glass window? That's a remarkable story.
Isn't that interesting?
Remarkable story.
Well, okay, there's a huge stained glass window on the left side of the chapel when you're facing the sanctuary. And prior to our acquiring that window, the architect had just made, 4 windows designs, vertical window designs, and that would have been the windows. Maybe stained glass, maybe smoked glass, we weren't sure. Then one day, Maggie McCory calls me up. Now, I had Maggie in high school, DePaul High School.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she called up. She said, Father Lou, I read in the paper that you're building a chapel. And I said, yes, we are. She says, I have a stained glass. Before she could finish the word window, I said, yes, we'll take it, because we had nothing.
Right.
Well, it wasn't just a stained glass window. It was a magnificent, huge window, Gothic style, neo-Gothic.
Beautiful. Stunning.
And it came from a church in Patterson that had been raised, making space for the new courthouse. They bought it, her and her husband bought it, and they were going to put it in their great room, okay? something happened to intervene and change that, and that was their children. They said we were going to have a great room, but we had a baby instead. So, and that got put off and got put off. And then eventually, they just stored it away. The architect, the builder, and I went over to their backyard and Pete brought out the pieces and laid them down in this beautiful pattern. And I was just flabbergasted. And the key is, the name of the chapel is Jesus Christ, Prince of Peace. And there are only two visual symbols in the middle of those windows. One is a chalice and host, Jesus, and the other is a crown, Prince of Peace. So it worked out so well.
It was meant to be.
It was the Holy Spirit guiding us.
Yes, absolutely meant to be. Yeah.
So tell us, tell the audience, how did you organize your students to come down and perform? Yes, they performed at the chapel. They performed at Mass. They performed at all the big events, Christmas, the concert, the spring concert.
Yes.
Let's talk about those events.
Well, it was very easy, by the way, to organize my students because they were more than happy to volunteer. In fact, many of my students would say, when is the next, I'm looking at my calendar, when is the next event? Because I want to go down and sing and play. And as you well know, many of my students then would just go down to the
become members.
Ministry Center, to the chapel, become members, and just hang out in the lounge area and so on. They loved being there. It was a wonderful, wonderful place.
A great experience
for them. Yes, yes.
And I think campus ministry is very important, and the colleges that don't have it lack something.
I agree.
And I think it takes creativity on the part of the bishop of each diocese to put people there, men and women there in those positions who are interested in walking the campus and being seen and, and staying up in the middle until all hours of the night. I used to love that because I never woke up before 8:30 because nothing on campus happened before 8:30. But I would go to sleep at 3 o'clock.
A few things happened.
I wasn't part of them.
But it's
But remember the spring concerts?
Oh yes,
they were wonderful.
Oh yes, spring concerts, the Christmas concerts. I'm the faculty advisor for Sigma Alpha Iota, which is a professional music. Believe it or not, they call it a fraternity. It is actually for women, but the founders in the early 20th century wanted to distinguish it from the social sororities.
Right.
So they wanted to let it be known that they are philanthropic and they're professional and so on. So it's for music students.
And I think they made me a member. I mean, I still get their magazine.
You are.
Yes.
You are an official. Yes.
Yes. Benefactor, member, whatever they want to call me. I'm happy to receive that information.
You absolutely are. So part of their outreach is to give musicales. And you always opened up the chapel to them to give wonderful recitals and musicales.
See, my focus on campus ministry was campus first. Okay, ministry came, but campus was first. In other words, campus life, campus activities, the subject matter, the majors. Honor them, respect them, and then bring them into what we're doing, whether it was social outreach, reaching out to the poor. And I used to tell the kids, you're a student first. Your parents aren't sending you here to be a great server at the Eva's Kitchen. Your parents are sending you here to be good students, and I emphasize that. And that worked.
Exactly. And they absolutely knew always how welcome they were, and that the ministry center and the chapel were always open to them anytime, day or night.
And in a future show, you're going to talk about Uptown Flutes. So we're going to end this now, but I want to talk a little bit about Uptown Flutes. Uptown Flutes music, and Karen will tell you who they are, opens and closes all of our shows. So that music you hear during the intro and the music you hear during the credits is all part of Uptown Flutes. Now tell the audience who Uptown Flutes.
And I thank you for that, by the way.
I'm honored, and I thank you for permission to use them.
I am co-director of an octet called Uptown Flutes, 8 flutes, and we involve all of the members of the flute family: piccolo, C flute. This is the C flute, the most familiar. Alto flute, which is larger and lower in sound, and bass flute, which is even larger and even lower. We've been together 15 years. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary. And I have colleagues who say, an octet together with the same people for 15 years. I can't keep a trio together for a couple of years. So it's really been wonderful. We've been through births, deaths, marriages,
Oh,
divorces.
sure.
We are really like family at this point. And
That's excellent.
the CD, the album you're playing as introductory music and exit music is Streaming Dreams, and that's actually our fourth album.
Wow, that's
So
fantastic.
it's really a wonderful, wonderful situation to be so close to each other, 8 people, and we're musically telepathic at this point. We really can read each other's
That's
minds, yeah,
great.
and
That's
we
great.
really feel like a family.
Excellent.
So
At a future show, we're going to introduce more about the Uptown Flutes. This has been Father Lou Scurti with Dr. Karen Demsey, having a delightful time talking about music and ministry and enjoying ourselves. Thank you for joining us. Karen, thank you for being here. I
thank you
really
so
appreciate
much.
it. You'll be back.
Thank you.
If you'd like to contact me, let me hear from you, Father Lou Scurti at hotmail.com. And we'd like to hear your comments and questions anytime. And subsequently, we'll be having more of those Q&A shows, and I have a list of questions I'll show you next time. God bless you, and keep the word alive and well, and pass this on to your family and friends.